Okay, the next one we got is two things.
Okay.
It's the cherubim and the seraphim, and you said put these ones together in the same question.
Yes. Yeah, because they're both heavenly beings
Okay.
that have some distinctions, but they're fairly similar in the way they look. Yeah. All right.
Go for it.
All right. So in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 2, it says, Seraphim were standing above him. They each had 6 wings.
Wait, I thought these were in Revelation.
Oh, they're in Revelation too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
All right.
I'm gonna we'll get to what's talked about in Revelation.
Okay.
Yeah. So in Isaiah 6, verse 2, Seraphim were standing above him. They each had 6 wings. With 2 they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew. And one called to another, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of armies. His glory fills the whole earth. All right, so this is where we're introduced to seraphim. Okay? And so
are they spirits? Or are they
they're
things?
They're creatures of some form. You know? And so whether we'll hear them referred to as like living creatures in another part in Revelation you're talking about. And so, but what that looks like, I'm not, to be honest with you, fully sure.
All right.
All right. So that's seraphim. Now let's get to the cherubim.
Okay. I know what these are.
Okay. We'll see if you know what they are. All right. So cherubim are mentioned throughout. We'll use Ezekiel 10 as the passage. Okay.
Okay.
So they're mentioned throughout Ezekiel 10, and it's an interesting description of them. And so what it says, I'm going to skip down to verse 12 in chapter 10. It says their entire bodies, including their backs, hands, and wings, and the wheels that the 4 of them had, were full of eyes all around.
The wills?
Yes.
What is it?
All right. So in Ezekiel, you have these visions that Ezekiel starts having all the way in chapter 1, where it talks about the fact that there's like wheels within wheels, and it's just getting into this like
wheels.
Yes.
Oh.
Sorry.
You said wills. Oh.
Sorry, my southernese came out. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah, like
wells. All right.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Yeah. So
they have wells on them. The wells on the butt.
Right.
Yeah,
around.
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wheels.
Okay.
Yeah. See, my wife is an English teacher, and she constantly gets on to me about how I do not pronunciate things very well.
Pro what? Anyway, keep going.
All right. So, all right.
Just read better now.
I'll try. I thought I was reading pretty good before. All right. I am a doctor, you know.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I will put myself in my place then.
Yeah. So simmer down over there.
Go
all
ahead,
right. Verse 14. Verse 14. Each one had 4 faces. One was the face of a cherub, the second the face of a human, the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an angel. And the cherubim ascended. These were the living creatures I had seen by the Chabar Canal. And it talks about when the cherubim moved, the wheels moved beside them, when they lifted their wings to rise from the earth. Anyway, so it's another vision of these heavenly creatures. And throughout Old Testament, you have these what's kind of called throne room visions, where the individual, whether it be Ezekiel in this case or Isaiah in the previous case, are like taken into the throne room of the Lord, and they're the ones that begin to see these creatures, and they're describing them the best way they can. Okay. So they're given the best language they know to give to what they're seeing, because they're seeing things very different than what they've ever seen before. So like when it says the cherubim, for example, like the cherubim appeared to have the form of human hands under their wings, right? In other words, it looked like it appeared like it. Not saying it was that, It's just the appearance of it. And so they're doing
why
their
aren't
best.
these things in in Genesis 1? Like why doesn't Genesis 1 say that God created all the creatures of the heavens or something?
Right. Yeah. No, just
and describe, which would mean these things.
Right. The seraphim, the cherubim. Yeah. I mean, I guess you can ask the Lord
Were they there already?
Yeah. So I think in Genesis 1, what we're getting is more of the picture of the earth being formed, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So, in Genesis, it's really focusing more on the earth, right? And the creation of the earth.
Okay.
Right. And then what's being developed on the earth. So it's not really speaking about all that's happening in the heavenlies. So we also don't get the painted picture in Genesis of things that are happening prior to the earth being created.
Okay.
So for example, Satan falling and all that, right? We don't,
right.
That's not there either. So really Genesis 1 is saying, all right, here's kind of earth being formed going forward. So these creatures are existing prior to that.
Okay.
So the Lord created them at some other point prior. And so they
just look insane. And they're in wheelchairs.
They're not in wheelchairs.
Okay.
But yes, but yes, they do look insane.
All right.
They do look pretty horrifying.
Okay.
I mean, that's why he's trying to describe their faces, trying to describe their
and this isn't people
wings.
on drugs, right?
No,
none of these things are people on. Okay.
None of these people. None of this.
All right. I feel like I need to ask you that on everything because that's a good critique for the whole Bible.
Right. It's just the druggies write this. Yeah. No, druggies did write this.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is like what they're seeing.
So we're gonna see those in heaven, unless they're dead.
No. Yeah, we're gonna see them in heaven.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're absolutely going to see them in heaven.
Do they mate and make more of them, or are they?
I don't think so.
Eternally living things.
Yes, they're just the four living creatures.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So going back in Ezekiel to chapter 1.
Oh, so there's only 4.
Of what we end up describing as like the cherubim.
So there could be other crazy things.
But sure.
He just only saw 4 of them.
Yes. Yeah, there's no telling what we're going to actually see.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in Ezekiel chapter 1, it says the likeness of 4 living creatures came from it, and this was their appearance. They looked like something like a human, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings, which is a little different than the seraphim, who had 6 wings. So these have 4. Their legs were straight. Right. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the hooves of a calf, sparkling like the gleam of polished bronze. They had human hands under their wings on their 4 sides. All 4 of them had faces and wings.
On their 4 sides?
Mm-hmm.
So they have wings sticking out in 4 directions?
Yes.
Like a weather vane.
Yeah, it's wild.
Okay.
Their wings were touching. The creatures did not turn as they moved. Each one went straight ahead. Their faces looked like something like the face of a human. That's what I'm talking about. Like it's something like that. And each of the 4 had the face of a lion on the right, the face of an ox on the left, and the face of an eagle.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what their faces.
At this point, why even describe
it? This is what their faces were like. Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely.
You know what I mean?
These are definitely different.
He could have just said, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." It saved himself some ink.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean, because they were definitely looking a little crazy.
Yeah.
Right. And so
heaven's gonna be wild,
I think it is gonna be pretty wild.
Okay.
I think we're gonna be in it's gonna be definitely different. All right. So now to what you're talking about. Like you mentioned, like you thought these guys were in Revelation, right?
Yes.
So in Revelation chapter 4, once again we have another throne room scene. Okay. So this is all happening as these individuals are looking up.
Like Star Wars? How they always end up in throne rooms at the end of the movies?
Do they? They do, don't they?
Yeah.
Is every one of them that way?
Yep.
Are you serious?
Not everyone, but most of them.
A lot of them?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So.
Cool. More throne rooms.
Yeah, more throne rooms. So, and again in Revelation chapter 4, Verse 6, 4 living creatures covered with eyes in front and in back were around the throne on each side. The first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. Each of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings, and that's kind of seemingly going back to the seraphim. They were covered with eyes around and inside.
Covered inside?
Yes. They were covered, eyes everywhere.
Okay.
And day and night, they never stopped saying, Holy, 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 the Lord God, the Almighty, who was and who is to come. And so here, once again, we're talking about these 4 living creatures. And
so when we get to heaven, they're just going to be making noise all the time.
Not just making.
How are we going to sleep? With these animals outside just...
Right.
just chanting
just
all night.
Shouting all day. I don't know. Do we sleep?
They call it eternal sleep.
That's an eternal rest. Right? But I don't
know. You're the doctor.
No, well, that's all I'm saying is I don't know if we even need sleep.
Oh, I get to say that all the time when you don't know stuff. I just realized. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Cool.
Yeah. All I'm saying is there's, heaven, we have these bits and pieces of what heaven might actually look like.
Okay.
And it is going to involve,
and at least one thing is these
4 interesting 4 living creatures
constantly talking.
Yes, okay. Constantly saying, Holy, holy, holy.
All right.
The Lord God Almighty.
Cool.
So, yeah.